Defend people who I feel like are being maligned. Sam Darnold.
Oh.
Just here's the thing. Was he on a prove it year? Yes or no?
Yes.
He was.
Did he prove it?
No.
Yes, he did.
He did until
Look at the numbers.
He earned money. Everyone
Oh,
talks
he
about
earned
him
money.
losing
What?
money. He proved it. Wild, I'm with you.
14 wins. Nothing to shake a stick at. 14 wins and 4,000 yards. Again, I think as the ball starts flying around, you're like, wow, he's 84 Marino. Probably not.
Probably.
On a curve, but not nothing, okay? 100 or more passer rating, most in the regular season. Again, was it an all-time great year from Sam Darnold? I don't necessarily think so, but do I think he should be on the same part of the mountain with my guy Drake May and Caleb? No. Finally, here's just raw numbers. The guy's top 6 in everything. So it's just where he's placed on the mountain. We come out to the larger mountain. I'm a huge Drake May guy. Drake May.
What do you mean? Is he?
He's on the same thing
He's
as
on the
Drake
same.
May.
Well, hold on. All right, so let's leave it here, and then Dust, get Wild's first graphic ready. The 14 wins. 4,000
Yeah.
yards. So who are you? Listen, there's one guy. Hold on. There's one guy you can replace him with.
I know who.
And I'll just say, great point. There's one guy, but otherwise.
He didn't make
Can I
the
help you out a little bit?
No, everybody who didn't make the playoffs should probably drop down a notch.
Well, so does that include Dak, or Dak was hurt? Because there's one guy on there who was healthy and missed the playoffs. You want to switch him?
Well, Gino's team was better than.
Gino's team. Sorry, Gino didn't miss the playoffs, but Gino they went 10-7. They lost on
It's
fifth
easy.
tiebreaker.
Yeah.
You want to replace
Purdy's played in the Super
You want to
Bowl.
replace
I
the
know
guy
you're
who was
wins-
below
your
500 and missed the
QB wins
playoffs.
guy.
No.
Do it, and I'll
Purdy's
just say you were
delivered
right.
in the playoffs.
It's
just
right
like
there,
Darnold.
Wild.
Wild, just do it.
Unlike
You got to
Darnold.
replace him with someone. You have to tell me if you want me to move him up. Mountain's
It's
not left
Gino.
to right.
It ain't even
Just tell me
close.
who you're
But I
replacing.
also do buy the would you trade this guy? I kind of view it as like a trade
Yeah. So exactly.
pyramid.
So who
Like,
are
would you trade? Every guy above you should be able to trade.
Exactly.
You would say no to.
He and Purdy were on
So
the same
who-
team, and Purdy was a
So
star.
who-
So
Maybe he can go.
Just do it.
Gino.
Come on.
Somewhere, maybe Gino and Purdy can come down and then move Trevor down even lower.
Okay. Can we show the Wild's first graphic real quick? So this is gonna be tough. So 84 Marino made the Super Bowl. 01 Warner made the Super Bowl. 07 Brady made the Super Bowl. They all lost those. 09 Peyton, I think, was that the year they lost to the Colts in the Super Bowl? So all those guys lost Super Bowl. Rodgers, they were 15-1 that year, coming off Super Bowl and lost. 20 Mahomes made Super Bowl and lost. 22 Mahomes won the Super Bowl. 24 Goff, 24 Darnold. Those two guys are the two guys that don't fit that rest of it from visually looking at it and also from what happened to them that year in the postseason, where they had their worst game and melted down in it, which is why they don't get the bump from it.
Okay. This is great. This is so great. Guys, we can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. Because I see so many people trying to essentially blame everybody but Patrick Mahomes for that loss. And again, I've defended Patrick Mahomes, so this isn't me now saying Patrick Mahomes. But I really want to compare Patrick Mahomes and Sam Darnold in this moment. Because when Sam Darnold was pressured nonstop, the offense fell apart. And he played poorly. And his team lost. And it was 2 games. In the games that mattered most. In the game that mattered most for Patrick Mahomes, where he was actually pressured, he fell apart. Yeah, he played other playoff games and won, but he didn't face what he faced with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just want to know why everyone just says, well, that's not Mahomes' fault. And you can't just say, well, because Mahomes has already proven himself and he's won Super Bowls. That doesn't matter. We're not talking about career legacy. We're talking about the evaluation of what we saw in an individual game. And I defended Sam Darnold. Now, the difference is, though, is that I expect significantly less from Sam Darnold than I do Patrick Mahomes. I also trust Andy Reid significantly more than I do Kevin O'Connell. Not to mention, with Patrick Mahomes, there were moments when you're like, okay, let's see what you can do when you kind of deal with this pressure. And he gets tackled. He's trying to go off for a run. He can't. He's trying to make a throw. He gets a pick six, etc., etc. And yet I see people wanting to blame Andy. I'm seeing people wanting to blame the O-line. But I didn't see people offer that to Sam Darnold. And so I would ask Nick, you want to drop Sam Darnold so badly and say that he's not good, even though he played an unbelievable season, played great, except for those final 2 games where he was pressured nonstop. But then why are you not saying that the Kansas City Chiefs and, specifically Patrick Mahomes, like, why are you not saying that same thing that Patrick Mahomes, that this season, this game was essentially a disaster? And again, you can't just say, well, because Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl last year. Like, that, we're looking at it from an individual game basis. I'm not trying to argue, do I think that Patrick Mahomes and Sam Darnold are the same? But if you're going to rip Sam Darnold as a failure, which Nick Wright did, then you must rip Patrick Mahomes. And no, just because Patrick Mahomes has more equity in his success, again, that's not how this works, because we're not having a legacy and resume conversation. We're talking about individually the game, individually within this game. Like, this is where some of these conversations can get kind of blurred. Because then the question is like, who deserves more blame for how they deal with, like, say, pressure of some sort? Patrick Mahomes or Sam Darnold? And the answer should be Patrick Mahomes, because he's held to a significantly higher standard. People talk about his greatness separate from being in a good situation, whether it be coaching, whether it be O-line, whether it be weapons, etc., etc. So, like, it's so perfect that Patrick Mahomes' season ended in the way that it did, because all anyone could say is like, oh, that O-line was awful. And, and what was Andy Reid's play calling? And yet I didn't hear that when they were talking about the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. I didn't hear that. I brought some of that stuff up. I said, the O-line, and what do you want Sam Darnold to do? He was pressured nonstop. What do you want him to do? Like, there's nothing he could do in this moment. But again, I don't put Sam Darnold and Patrick Mahomes on the same standard. It's like Patrick Mahomes was in the GOAT conversation. So you're supposed to be, like, if you're only great when everything else is great around you, then it's like, well, then does that make you the GOAT? And so Sam Darnold's not in the GOAT conversation, but to now just drop him, to use those games as evidence that he's not that good, well then, like, why are you not doing that for Stafford, Baker, Goff, Stroud, Herbert, Love, Dak, Geno, Purdy, Caleb, May, Nix, Tua? Why are you not doing that for, like, all these quarterbacks? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Because, like, what do all those quarterbacks have in common? Yeah, when the situation's not good, when the O-line's not good, when they don't have weapons, they're all not that good. Maybe not all of them, because I just named, kind of like everyone there. But, like, what I mean? Like it's just, obviously you get a massive decrease in performance and production. So, like, again, how do we reconcile that? How do we make sense of that? It's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult. I could argue that Joe Burrow played better than Patrick Mahomes with a bad O-line, with dealing with pressure, even in a Super Bowl, where Patrick Mahomes both times kind of collapsed. So, like, I don't know. I just struggle to make sense of it. And you can't use Sam Darnold's past as like, well, again, Patrick Mahomes has all this past and Sam Darnold doesn't. You can't do that, because Sam Darnold played for terrible franchises that have gone nowhere for like some of them decades. You know, like again, outside of a couple Cam Newton years, the Panthers have done nothing. I mean, the most successful the New York Jets have been in the last like 30 years was with Mark Sanchez. I think that was the last time they literally even like won a playoff game. I might be wrong on that, but like they certainly haven't done much of anything else beyond that. So like what have those franchises done? Nothing. So if you really want to judge Sam Darnold for what he was doing with the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets, playing for coaches that no longer exist in the NFL anymore, like it's like why? Why? Doesn't make sense. So you just can't use that. You can't take away an amazing year where he plays awesome and then use it as evidence as why he should just fall off a cliff. I just don't think that's fair. And again, if you want to blame Sam Darnold for some of those issues, well then you must blame Patrick Mahomes. You must blame Patrick Mahomes. And the biggest reason why I give Patrick Mahomes blame in that game is not because of him, you know, just losing or being sacked 6 times. Because I can say, yeah, it's tough in that situation. But there was clear moments when Patrick Mahomes was in a position to be like, okay, I have a second. I'm being pressured. Now it's up to me to be special, for me to do it that next thing. And he didn't. He failed. And across the street, Jalen Hurts had those moments when he was being pressured and he had that moment of like, okay, it's time for me to be special. And Jalen Hurts was. That game would have been a lot closer if Jalen Hurts played like Patrick Mahomes. That's just a fact. There was moments that Jalen Hurts, you know, was scrambling and he could have gotten tackled and he didn't for a loss. He could have made a really bad errant throw. He did not, you know, like those things didn't happen. He didn't fumble. Like those are the differences. Those are the differences. And I'd argue that in those 2 games with Sam Darnold, when Sam Darnold played with the Lions, against the Lions and against the Rams, I'd make the argument that Sam Darnold was being pressured in such ways that he never had an opportunity to be able to be like, okay, I have a minute. What do I do now? Now, again, I'm not arguing that he would have succeeded in that moment. I'm not arguing that either. But because I don't put him at the level of like a Mahomes or even a Jalen Hurts. But I would argue that the way how he was being pressured, because it was so insane, so incessant, so nonstop, that he never even had a moment where he was like, okay, I'm being pressured. What do I need to do here? Do I roll out? Do I move within the pocket? Do I move out of the pocket? Do I go up the middle and take a 5-yard, 6? Like I'm not even sure if he even like had that opportunity for even a second. So it's just like I don't know. It's just a weird conversation. If you're going to use those final 2 games as a metric, then you have to drop a lot of people. A lot of people. Heck, drop Jared Goff. He didn't play great. Drop Jared Goff. Drop Justin Herbert. Drop Jordan Love. I mean, pick any year you want. Drop Dak Prescott. What has Dak Prescott shown you? Anytime things aren't 100% perfect or when he's playing a great team, he loses. He gets rocked. You know, I mean, his last playoff game, he got demolished. Absolutely annihilated. And it wasn't even because he was dealing with constant pressure nonstop. He was just bad. So, I don't know. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. This whole idea that Sam Darnold is nothing, and yet he played so great throughout the whole season. But it was those final 2 games that you're just like, nope, he's not good. And it's just like, okay. Well, then Patrick Mahomes wasn't even a Pro Bowler this year, was on a team that people said was the greatest team in the history of the NFL, Nick Wright, and played awful in the Super Bowl, truly awful. Whereas and you can't just say, well, it was the Super Bowl, they played a great team. Okay, Lamar Jackson didn't play that awful. Jaden Daniels didn't play that awful. Matthew Stafford didn't play that awful. We can go down the list of all the quarterbacks. Like, those quarterbacks didn't play that awful. Cooper Rush didn't play that awful. So, I don't know. And again, this isn't for me to advocate that Mahomes needs to drop down. Like, that's not what I'm advocating. But I'm just saying, if we're playing by those same rules that you're playing for Sam Darnold, then you have to move your beloved Mahomes. And if you don't want to move down your beloved Mahomes, then you must elevate Sam Darnold. You must admit that there's other factors at play. Those are the rules. I don't make them up. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Sam Darnold? Do you think he should be at the bottom? Do you think he deserves to just completely fall from grace because of the way how the season wrapped up? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.